Today we are inside of Fort Stevens, the only military fortress in the continental U.S. that was ever fired upon during World War II. Fort Stevens was built in 1863 during the Civil War to defend the Columbia River from a possible British attack. Back then, the U.S. worried Britain might side with the Confederacy, but the wooden fort they built here didn't see combat, and neither did the newer concrete batteries that came decades later. Still, the site was one of the most heavily armed places on the West Coast. This was one of the primary batteries in the 1940s. Battery Russell was completed in 1904, named after General David Russell, who was killed in the Civil War. It held two 10-inch disappearing rifles, designed to pop up, fire, and retract below cover. These weren't just weapons, they were engineering marvels. Crews trained constantly here, but they'd only be loaded with the intent to defend once, and that day came in June of 1942. That summer, a Japanese submarine surfaced off the Oregon coast and opened fire. It was submarine I-25, and it shelled the fort for about 15 minutes. Explosions rocked the sand dunes north of the base, but no damage was done to the fort itself. The commanding officer made a controversial choice: don't fire back. They didn't want to reveal their gun positions, and the submarine slipped away. Even though it was considered a relatively small-scale attack, it changed everything. This quiet post became the front lines overnight. Troops went on high alert. Barbed wire was strung across the beaches. Anti-aircraft guns were positioned across the site, and patrols scoured the coastline for days. That one night wasn't the only time an enemy attacked the U.S. mainland during World War II. Goleta, California was also a target and lost an oil refinery. However, the fort stayed active until 1947, when the guns were finally removed and the site was decommissioned. Fort Stevens isn't just battles and bunkers, it's an entire military town frozen in time. The base had everything: a post exchange, officer quarters, barracks, even a small railroad. Over 2,500 people lived and worked here during its peak. You can still walk through the remains: concrete slabs, staircases to nowhere, and rusted iron beds. This wasn't just a fort, it was a full coastal command post. Today, Fort Stevens is an Oregon state park where you can come and visit nearly every piece of its military history.